M5D UFO Files. Unraveling the UFO Files. Revelations that change everything.
The views and opinions expressed by individuals in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of the broadcaster or its parent company or affiliates.
This episode is brought to you by the Multiverse 5D podcast, exploring consciousness, quantum reality, and infinite possibilities. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with the latest news and episodes.
You are now entering the Multiverse 5D podcast, where reality bends, truth awakens, and nothing is what it seems.
Okay, welcome. So, today we are diving deep, really deep, into something that might just shake up how you think about extraterrestrial contact. For ages, it feels like. We've been fed these fleeting images, these headlines.
Yeah, the sensationalized stuff, mostly. Things you see quickly and then forget.
Exactly, but what if there's this whole other layer, a much richer, way more complex history of actual interaction just under the surface?
Right, and that's really our mission today, isn't it? To try and move past those common ideas, the misconceptions.
And dig into what these sources, witness accounts, historical records, even philosophical points, what they actually reveal about a deeper reality. More connected.
And it's crucial to grasp, we're talking way beyond just sightings now. The sources, and these are global sources, they document actual visitations, real contact.
That's a big step up from just seeing lights in the sky.
A huge step.
Yeah.
And, it's easy to get stuck on what's reported just in, say, the US or Europe. But when you broaden that view, especially looking at places like Latin America, wow, there's this incredibly rich, long history of contact, often quite open.
And it gets missed. Why?
Often overlooked, yeah. Sometimes it's just language barriers, honestly. Right. It doesn't filter into the English-speaking research world as much.
Okay.
So the goal here is to synthesize all this diverse information, look for the patterns, and maybe encourage you to think critically, to really reevaluate what might have been going on for a long, long time.
Okay, so that's the setup. Let's pose the big question then. What if that image we hold, the standard alien, what if that's just a tiny fragment, maybe even a fear-driven piece of a much bigger puzzle?
And if that's just a distraction?
Right. Then what are these other forms, and how does knowing about them change the whole conversation? The questions we should be asking about, our place in the cosmos.
It changes everything.
Okay, buckle up. Because the stuff we've pulled from these sources, it's going to take us some pretty unexpected places. Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
So first off, let's just tackle that main image. You say alien, you say UFO. What pops into your head?
It's almost always the little gray guy, isn't it? Big head, those large black almond-shaped eyes.
Totally. It's become this universal symbol, almost a cartoon, really.
Exactly, a cartoon.
Yeah.
And it dominates everything. And honestly, it probably drives a lot of the fear, the misunderstanding around this whole subject.
Yeah, I can see that. It's not exactly welcoming.
Not at all. But right there, we hit a completely different perspective from a key source, Colonel Philip Corso.
Corso. Pentagon guy involved in Roswell tech, allegedly.
That's the one. Widely cited, controversial for sure, but his take was very specific. He said that gray alien, the one we all picture, it was an extraterrestrial biological entity, an EBE.
Okay.
But crucially, he said it was specifically created to fly the ship.
Created, like manufactured.
That's the implication. Like a biological robot, maybe.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. Corso insisted that the beings who made the grays, the actual intelligence, they looked like us and could walk in the Pentagon.
Wait, what? Looked like us, human-like.
That's what he claimed, suggesting the real players might not be alien in the way we typically think. Much more familiar.
Okay, that just flips the whole script, doesn't it? If the grays are just operators and the creators look human, wow.
It completely shatters the standard narrative. And it wasn't just Corso saying things like this.
Who else?
Sergeant Clifford Stone. Another really respected name, especially in crash retrieval circles.
Right, I know Stone's testimony. Incredible stuff.
Absolutely. He backed this up, but in an even more startling way, he talked about being on a military team and they had a classified manual.
A manual? For what?
For first aid on retrieved extraterrestrial beings.
First aid? You're kidding.
Not kidding, according to Stone. And he claimed the Pentagon had categorized 52 to 57 different species of ETs.
57.
57. Just let that number sink in. I mean, think about popular culture. Even within ufology, right? We tend to fixate on maybe 3 types.
Yeah, it's always reptilians, greys, and Nordics, like you said, almost cartoonish.
Exactly. Stone called that narrow view a Disneyland of situations because it ignores maybe dozens of others that aren't part of that common narrative.
So this manual covered all these different types.
Apparently. Stone said he personally took part in 12 crash retrievals. 3 of them happened in Vietnam during the war. And they used this manual.
In Vietnam, during the war. That's wild.
It just blows the lid off our limited perception of who or what might be visiting. Makes you think of Gene Roddenberry, right? Star Trek.
IDIC. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
Exactly. Diversity isn't just, a nice idea for survival. It might be the fundamental rule of the cosmos.
Yeah.
Intelligence, life. It shows up in ways we can barely imagine.
Okay, so a huge diversity of beings, potentially. But why the increased activity, especially around the mid-20th century?
Well, stepping back for that bigger picture.
Yeah.
Many researchers and the contactees themselves, they point to one specific pivotal event in our history.
Which was?
The atomic bomb. Specifically, the first test explosion at the Trinity site in New Mexico. July 16th, 1945.
Oh, Trinity, okay.
Now, contact was happening before then, sure, the sources are clear on that. But after 1945, things ramped up dramatically. The 50s, 60s, 70s, that's when you get the rise of the whole space brother movement.
And the message was consistent.
Unmistakably consistent across multiple sources. The message was humanity had crossed a line, a very dangerous line.
The idea being that a nuke isn't just a big bang here on Earth.
Exactly. The account suggests it's more than just physical. It sends out ripples energetically, goes into other dimensions even. It basically put up a huge cosmic flare saying, these guys are dangerous now.
Like we'd suddenly develop teeth that could bite beyond our own planet.
Something like that. Think about Oppenheimer himself, right?
Yeah.
After Trinity, quoting the Bhagavad Gita.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Worlds. Plural. That's the key word there, isn't it? Not worlds, singular. Worlds. It suggests the impact wasn't just local. It was felt, or at least perceived, on a much, much wider stage.
Okay, so that explains the timing, maybe. But why all the alleged crashes then, especially in places like New Mexico near military bases?
Well, the sources suggest the visitors were drawn to these hotspots, drawn to our military activities, the weapons testing, the warfare itself. It was all deeply concerning to them, apparently.
Monitoring the danger zones.
Seems like it. And it's a pattern that seems to continue. Look at the work of someone like Jaime Mawson,
the Mexican UAP researcher.
He consistently shows videos, pretty compelling ones sometimes, of UFOs over modern conflict zones. Ukraine, Russia, Syria. They're still watching. Suggests this continuous surveillance of our self-destructive habits.
And it wasn't just weapons tests. You mentioned Clifford Stone seeing beings during crash retrievals in Vietnam.
Yes, incredible detail in his testimony. He described beings observing the actual war, watching battles unfold from inside some kind of transparent cave or field.
Like anthropologists watching a primitive tribe.
Almost exactly like that. Which forces you to ask, what's their interest? Is it just curiosity, concern, something else? It's definitely not just passive flybys.
A deep ongoing interest in our worst behaviors. That's unsettling.
It is. And building on that, what's really striking and connects back to Corso is how many encounters describe beings who look, human.
Right. Back to the walking in the Pentagon idea.
Precisely. This is where it gets really challenging for most people. It directly contradicts that dominant gray alien image.
Because if they look like us,
they could be anywhere, walking among us. And that idea, actually processing that possibility, our sources say it fundamentally changes your life. Most people just aren't ready for that kind of reality shift.
I can imagine. It's one thing to think about aliens out there, another to think they might be queuing next to you for coffee.
Exactly, and it's those personal stories, the firsthand accounts, that really drive this home.
Let's get into some of those. Who are we talking about?
Okay, take Timothy Good. Renowned British UFO researcher, solid guy.
Yeah, I know his work.
He told a story about being in a New York hotel lobby, saw this very well-dressed man reading a newspaper. Timothy just got this feeling,
A hunch.
Yeah. So he tried something. He sent a telepathic thought. If you are not from here, take your right index finger and put it on the left side of your nose. The man slowly lowered his paper, did exactly that, held it for a second, then folded his paper and just walked out.
Whoa. No words exchanged.
None. Timothy said he was just utterly astonished, left speechless. A subtle but profound confirmation.
Okay, that's chilling. What else?
Colin Andrews, famous for his crop circle research. He had an experience in Connecticut.
Crop circles.
He said he heard a clear telepathic message in his head. I will be there. You will see me.
That's pretty direct.
Very. Later, he's having coffee with his wife in a cafe. This very beautiful woman on a bicycle rides up, parks her bike, walks in, and just stares directly at him.
And he knew.
Instantly. He said he knew she was not from this planet. He described being totally frozen in fear. Couldn't move, couldn't speak. He regretted later not trying to engage.
Frozen. Wow. Another subtle yet powerful encounter.
Then you have Ingo Swann, the famous remote viewer, worked with the CIA, Stanford Research Institute.
Great. Penetration. His book. Incredible claims in there.
Absolutely. He describes being in a supermarket in California, sees this woman picking out fruit, and he said the hairs on his arm just stood up. He knew instinctively she wasn't human, wasn't from Earth.
Did he approach her?
He started to, but then, he says, 2 CIA agents came over and said, we're watching her, don't get near her.
CIA agents in the supermarket warning him off.
That's his account. Chilling, right? Suggests not just a presence, but active monitoring. A hidden reality right under our noses.
Man. Okay, and there are more recent accounts too.
Oh yeah. There's a book by Michelle Zinger, Visitors Without Passports. It details cases of human-looking people in France that were not from here, actually living integrated lives within a neighborhood. She even included drawings.
Living among us? That theme just keeps coming up. Not just visitors, but residents almost.
Exactly. They're not just beings from sci-fi movies. They're described again and again as capable of blending in, maybe even living next door.
So how does all this tie into the bigger picture of contact, especially those early days, the 50s?
Well, many of these human-like encounters were foundational to that whole space brother movement. And you can't talk about that era without mentioning Dr. J. Allen Hynek.
Hynek, right, the astronomer. Project Blue Book, the ultimate skeptic turned believer.
Exactly. The godfather of ufology, some call him. Hired by the Air Force specifically to debunk UFOs. But the data, the cases, they just didn't add up for him over time.
He couldn't explain them away.
He couldn't. He famously changed his mind, acknowledged the reality of the phenomenon, and of course he gave us his classification system. CE1, CE2, CE3.
CE1, sighting. CE2, physical traces. CE3, contact with occupants.
Right. His shift was huge. It opened the door, academically and publicly, to taking the contactee reports more seriously.
Which brings us to people like George Van Tassel.
Van Tassel, Giant Rock, California, out there in the desert. His story is legendary.
What was his main claim?
A craft landed near Giant Rock. A being emerged, identified himself as being from Venus.
Venus, okay.
And delivered 2 key messages. 1, a warning about the atomic bomb, which we keep hearing. 2, he apparently gave Van Tassel advanced technological information.
Leading to the Integratron.
Precisely. Van Tassel, who actually had an aviation and engineering background, supposedly built the Integratron based on specific alien instructions.
And the instructions were unusual.
Very. No nails or screws allowed in the main structure. It used principles involving Tesla coils, aiming to create an anti-gravity effect.
Anti-gravity, what was its purpose?
It was described as more than just a machine. It was partly a time machine, but more importantly, a regeneration chamber for your cells.
Cell regeneration, like for health, longevity.
Yeah, exactly. This ties into another consistent message from these alleged Venusians and others. They claim to live for hundreds of years, like 700, 800 years.
Wow.
And they were deeply concerned about our short lifespans, our diseases, and our destructive path. The Integratron was meant to help address that, offer healing, extend life.
A regeneration chamber. That's quite a claim. Did it ever work? Was it finished?
It was never fully activated according to Van Tassel's original plans before he passed away. It still stands today. People visit, do sound baths, but its primary function, that cellular regeneration, remains largely theoretical based on his accounts.
Fascinating, though. And there were others around the same time?
Oh, yes. Orfeo Angelucci, he worked at Lockheed Martin, actually.
A defense contractor.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. He wrote a book about meeting a being he called Neptune. And guess what the core message was?
Let me guess. Misuse of technology and nuclear power.
Bingo. The misuse of our technologies and specific warnings about nuclear power. It's remarkably consistent across these early accounts.
It really is. Who else from that era?
Daniel Fry. He was a physicist, worked at White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico.
Right in the heart of weapons testing.
Exactly. He reported being taken aboard a landed craft, experienced rapid travel, It changed him completely. He went on to found an organization called Understanding in Tucson, Arizona. Its whole purpose was promoting global unity, trying to end conflict.
Another life changed by contact leading to a peace mission?
And then there's Howard Menger from New Jersey.
Menger, okay.
What's
Your
his
story?
His contact started young, age 10. Met a beautiful blonde woman he believed was extraterrestrial. This shaped his whole life.
He wrote a book too, right?
From Outer Space to You. And it wasn't just contact stories. It included specific messages about human health.
Like Van Tassel's longevity focus.
Similar, yeah. According to Menger, the beings told him directly, your blood is too acid. They recommended adopting an alkaline diet. He specifically mentioned things like lemon water for longevity.
Alkaline diet. That sounds surprisingly modern, like something you hear health gurus talk about now.
Right. Guidance on diet and health. Supposedly coming from ETs back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Pretty ahead of its time.
What happened with Menger? Did he stick to his story?
Well, this is where it gets complicated. He later claimed the government pressured him, forced him to retract his story for national security reasons.
Ah, the classic pattern. Disclosure followed by suppression.
It seems that way. He even claimed the beings gave him blueprints for, or maybe even a small working model of, a free energy device, and that he built a small UFO based on it, flew it over 2 states. Of course, these are his claims.
Still, the pressure to recant is significant.
Very. And adding another layer, there's photographic evidence, supposedly, from the Wendell Stevens archive. Stevens was a retired Air Force pilot who collected massive amounts of UFO data.
What did the photos show?
They allegedly show Menger with one of his contacts, a Venetian. The being apparently appeared mostly as light in the photographs, but Menger insisted they were physically present.
Strange. And there was more.
Yeah, this is really striking. His contact group, the photos suggest, included 3 individuals who looked incredibly human, but were supposedly ET guests. They were overly dressed, apparently looked like Hollywood movie stars.
Movie stars, who are they supposed to be?
Well, the names associated with them are Val Thor, his brother Don, and a female named Jill.
Val Thor, Valiant Thor. The guy allegedly from Venus who met Eisenhower.
That's the one. The story, mainly popularized by Dr. Frank Stranges in his book The Stranger in the Pentagon, is that Val Thor landed, was taken to the Pentagon, and eventually met President Eisenhower, likely at Holloman Air Force Base.
And what was the purpose of the meeting?
Val Thor supposedly offered solutions, advanced technology, help with achieving world peace, even secrets to human longevity, echoing the messages from Van Tassel and Menger.
And Eisenhower.
The story goes that Eisenhower ultimately rejected the offer.
Why would he do that?
The purported reason was fear. Fear of societal collapse, economic disruption. Specifically, concerns about collapsing the powerful pharmaceutical industry if cures and longevity treatments became widely available.
Wow. So humanity was offered this huge leap forward, potentially, and turned it down because of economic fears.
That's the narrative presented in those sources. Val Thor's ship, by the way, was allegedly cloaked and seen hovering over Lake Mead near Las Vegas for a time.
A profound story. If true, it suggests a major turning point where humanity consciously chose a different path.
The path away from this offered assistance, yeah. And the communication didn't stop, it just took different forms.
Like channeling?
Exactly. Takes Robert, another contactee mentioned in the sources. He apparently started communicating using simple crystal radios.
Crystal radios, like the old DIY radio kits.
Yeah. Until, according to the account, the FBI showed up, confiscated them, and threatened him with prison if he continued.
FBI intervention again.
Seems to be a theme.
Yeah.
So the beings adapted. They then asked Robert if he would lend his vocal cords so they could channel messages through him.
He became a vocal channel.
Yes. And some of these channeled messages were apparently quite specific. One from 2014 explicitly mentioned Vladimir Putin and the Commonwealth of Independent States.
Really? What did it say?
It was a plea for peace and brotherhood instead of conflict. The message was actually titled, "The End of Separation." Again, that recurring theme of unity.
The end of separation. That's powerful, especially given world events since 2014.
It is. And speaking of warnings, we have to mention George Adamski again.
Adamski, controversial but hugely influential early contactee.
Absolutely. His famous 1952 encounter in Desert Center, California, with Orthon.
From Venus, supposedly.
That was Adamski's claim. And the very first thing Orthon warned him about.
Nuclear energy.
The dangers of nuclear energy and atomic weapons. Right back to that central theme from 1945.
It's almost relentless, this warning.
It really is. And think about it in context.
Yeah.
There's an account from a French geophysicist who was present during hundreds of French H-bomb tests in the Pacific.
What did he witness?
devastation. He described seeing 3 feet of dead fish washed up on the runway after tests. Coral reefs totally destroyed. Utter ecological destruction.
Horrific.
But here's the part relevant to us. He also reported seeing UFOs frequently flying over the test sites, just observing, doing nothing but just looking at the insanity, as the source puts it.
Watching us destroy our own planet. That paints a grim picture of their perspective.
It does. And Orthon's message to Adamski wasn't just a warning, it was presented as a choice, a kind of timeline choice for humanity.
What were the options?
Option 1, pursue a space-based economy. Cooperate, explore, use technology for peaceful advancement. This path, Orthon suggested, would lead naturally to open contact, visits to other planets, joining the cosmic neighborhood.
And option 2?
Stick with a war economy. An economy that, by its very nature, requires constant tension, constant conflict, constant perceived threats to sustain itself.
A path of division and destruction.
Essentially, yes. And the really chilling part, according to some interpretations of these messages,
Yes.
is that this timeline is coming back around now. We might be facing that same fundamental choice again right now. Space-based or war-based future.
That definitely resonates with current world tensions. It feels like we're at a crossroads.
It does. And for anyone who doubts Adamski, thinks it was all faked,
There are counter arguments, right?
there are. Glenn Steckling, for instance, grew up with Adamski, lived with him as a child. He provides strong first-hand testimony supporting the reality of Adamski's contacts.
Personal testimony.
And more tangibly, there are the plaster casts, the famous casts made of Orthon's footprints, supposedly left at the landing site in 1952. They show symbols on the soles. It's physical evidence that's hard to just dismiss outright.
Right, the shoe prints, physical traces, CE2 level stuff.
Exactly. And this whole phenomenon, it wasn't just an American thing, was it?
Not at all. The sources highlight cases globally. Think of Eugenia Siracusa on the island of Sicily in Italy.
What was her story? Apparently, she was a significant contactee, to the point where she was reportedly receiving personal letters from President Eisenhower himself.
Eisenhower again, even though she didn't speak English.
That's the claim. Suggests her contacts were known and considered important at the very highest levels internationally.
Incredible. And who else outside the U.S.?
Elizabeth Clarer in South Africa, she wrote a book called Beyond the Light Barrier.
Clarer, her claims were pretty extraordinary, weren't they?
Extremely. She alleged not only contact, but having a relationship and even a child with an extraterrestrial being from Metun, a planet she said was in the Alpha Centauri system.
A human-alien hybrid child.
That was her assertion. And supposedly, her experiences were known and even acknowledged to some degree by the British government.
The diversity of these claims, geographically and in terms of the interactions, it's just staggering.
It really is. And back in Italy, following Siracusa, there's Maurizio Cavallo from near Turin.
What did he contribute?
He produced Polaroid photos, quite intriguing ones, allegedly showing these space people blending in, working normal jobs like in banks, living among us.
Polaroid photos. Harder to fake back then, maybe. It reinforces that blending in theme.
It does. And it leads to some fascinating speculation in the sources about how they might blend in. Could they manufacture or clone human-like bodies?
Like biological suits?
Perhaps. And then insert their consciousness into these bodies. It's a potential explanation for why so many appear human.
Like the tall whites, Charles Hall's experiences at Indian Springs near Area 51.
Exactly. Hall described these tall, thin, very pale beings. And the detail that always gets me, their children apparently wore overalls ordered from the Sears catalog.
Sears catalog overalls. It's such a bizarrely mundane detail in an extraordinary story.
Isn't it? It speaks to that attempt to blend, or at least function, within our world. This idea might even shed light on Travis Walton's experience.
Walton, the logger abducted in Arizona. Famous case.
Right. After his initial terrifying encounter with the typical Greys, he later described seeing 2 very human-looking individuals, a man and a woman, also aboard the craft. They seem different from the Greys.
Maybe the creators or overseers fits the Corso model.
It could fit, yeah. Manufactured bodies. It's a wild concept, but it connects a few dots in these disparate accounts.
Okay, another major Italian case mentioned is Amicizia, or W56.
Yes. The friendship case from 1956. Really remarkable story.
What happened there?
Group of Italians made contact with beings who lived in secret, underground, and underwater bases. Some of these beings were described as being incredibly tall, like 10 feet tall.
10 feet tall, and they emerged from the water.
That's the account. And they offered humanity something called Ureta,
Ureta? What was that?
described as a technology of harmony. But it came with a condition. a pact.
Which was?
The beings said they would share this beneficial technology, but only if the human group involved remained united and peaceful among themselves. If serious infighting started, the beings would leave.
Harmony as a prerequisite for advanced tech.
Seems so. Their core message was incredibly direct. You must remain united and understand your weakness to evolve as humanity.
Unity and self-awareness, another recurring theme.
Absolutely. And thinking about where these contacts happen, you mentioned Latin America earlier.
Right, that it's a hotspot. Why is that, according to the sources?
The recurring idea is the approach. It suggested that people in many Latin American cultures approach these beings differently. Not primarily with fear or military analysis or scientific dissection,
But with
a heart connection. More openness, less suspicion. They don't lead with questions like, where's your ship? Or what's your propulsion system?
They just say
hi. There's a greater willingness to accept the reality of the encounter on its own terms, with feeling rather than just intellect.
And that makes a difference.
Apparently, yes. That open, welcoming, heart-centered attitude seems to foster more frequent and perhaps more direct contact experiences.
That's a beautiful idea, and we see examples of this.
Definitely. Think about the accounts from the Chilca Desert in Peru back in the 1970s.
What happened at Chilca?
Groups of young people, often led by figures like Sixto Paz Wells, would go out into the desert, they'd fast, meditate, chant mantras. Preparation, basically.
Setting an intention, creating a space.
Exactly. And according to numerous witnesses, ships would actually land in response. People could approach them, sometimes even enter them, touch the craft. It was a much more direct, almost communal interaction.
Wow, that's very different from the typical abduction narrative or distance sighting.
Very different. It speaks to that willingness to engage, that heart connection.
And this continues. Are there contemporary figures from that region?
Yes, one prominent figure highlighted in the sources is Ricardo Gonzalez, also from Peru.
What's his story?
Ricardo claims ongoing contact with beings he calls the Apunians, from a planet named Apu,
Apu, where's that supposed to be?
in the Alpha Centauri star system, our closest stellar neighbor, only about 4 light years away.
Alpha Centauri, so very close cosmically speaking. Who is his main contact?
A being named Antarel. And Antarel's message, as relayed by Ricardo, is incredibly profound and a bit mind-bending.
Okay, lay it on us.
Antarel apparently told Ricardo that they, the Apunians, are us from the future.
Us, humans, from the future.
That's the claim. They say that in their original timeline, humanity went down a destructive path, ultimately destroyed Earth, or made it uninhabitable.
Oh wow, like the warnings from Adamski and others, but realized.
Exactly. And they had to evacuate, take their children, find a new home, eventually leading to a hybrid race on Apu.
So why are they contacting us now?
According to Ricardo, they are trying to change the timeline, our timeline. They're intervening, offering guidance, warnings, essentially giving us a second chance to avoid the future they experienced.
A second chance to choose that space-based economy over the war economy.
Precisely. It brings all those earlier warnings into sharp focus. It's not just advice, it's a potential future playing out.
That's heavy. And you mentioned you had a personal experience related to this.
I did, yes. Through Ricardo, I was invited on an expedition to the Gobi Desert for a contact experience.
The Gobi Desert, okay. And what happened?
It was profound. We were meditating, focusing, and I witnessed a being manifest. Matched the description of Antarel.
You saw Antarel. What did he look like?
Incredibly tall, maybe 10 feet. Very muscular build, long blonde hair, and these striking eyes, a color I can only describe as honey mustard.
Honey mustard eyes. And did he communicate?
Yes, but the voice was strange. Very robotic, synthesized sounding, delivered a message, reinforced some of the themes we've discussed.
What was that like for you, seeing that?
Undeniable.
Yeah.
Powerful. It really hammered home for me the importance of just saying yes sometimes. Saying yes to opportunities that stretch your reality. Being open to the unknown. Stepping outside the box.
A life-changing moment, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And through all these varied contacts, the ecological warnings remain constant, right?
Yeah, it seems like a core concern for many of these alleged visitors.
It's not just nukes anymore. They link it to everything. The sources mentioned concerns about plastics in the ocean, general pollution, climate change, our overall stewardship, or lack thereof, of the planet.
They see the connections we often miss.
Exactly. It's all interconnected. Our actions, the planet's health, our own future.
And this ties into that symbol you mentioned, the peace flag.
Yes, the banner of peace. Associated with Nicholas Roerich, the Russian mystic, artist, explorer.
He claimed ET inspiration too.
He attributed much of his philosophical work and symbolism, including the Banner of Peace, to inspiration from masters or higher intelligences, which many interpret in this context. The symbol itself, 3 dots inside a circle.
What does it represent?
Roerich described it as representing art, science, and religion, or spirituality, held within the circle of culture, or sometimes past, present, and future, held within the circle of eternity. Ultimately, it's a symbol of unity, synthesis, wholeness.
And this symbol appears in contact sites?
Reportedly, yes. Seen in various locations associated with contact encounters around the world. It's like a visual shorthand for the core message. Unity, peace, protecting our shared heritage.
So bringing all this together, it's a lot to take in.
It really is. And the key takeaway, stressed in the source material, is that this isn't just fodder for sci-fi movies or late-night radio shows. It's presented as serious, often very difficult information to truly digest.
Because it forces a fundamental rethink.
Exactly. A rethink about reality itself, about history, about our place in the universe. It's not just entertainment. It demands a shift in perception.
So what we're offering here is this alternative narrative, an alternative to the history of planet Earth, as it's usually taught.
Precisely, based on these collected accounts and testimonies. And it underscores how important it might be for us to understand our place, not as the sole intelligence in the cosmos, but as part of, well, maybe one big, huge cosmic family.
That phrase really captures it, a cosmic family.
And why are they here? Why the warnings, the contact?
Yeah.
Sources suggest it's because we're all related on some fundamental level.
Related? How so?
Perhaps through shared ancestry, shared consciousness, or simply shared experience in the challenges of evolving as a sentient species. Other civilizations, the message implies, have faced similar hurdles, similar risks of self-destruction.
And they hope we make it.
They hope we succeed where maybe others, including potentially past versions of ourselves, have failed. They're invested in us overcoming this drive towards, frankly, annihilation.
So the real change needed isn't just technological or political.
No, the sources consistently point towards consciousness. The real revolution is consciousness, a fundamental shift in how we see ourselves, each other, the planet, and our connection to everything else.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, we've journeyed pretty far, haven't we? From the cartoon gray alien to potentially human-like beings walking among us.
A huge spectrum of alleged visitors, incredible diversity.
And across that diversity, these remarkably consistent messages, urgent messages about peace, about unity, about this critical choice humanity seems to be facing.
That choice again, space-based future or war-based future, collaboration or conflict.
And these aren't just whispers. They're testimonies, often detailed, often from credible people, sometimes involving physical evidence or traces. It really pushes us, or should push you, the listener, to look past the easy dismissal, beyond the fear.
And to consider this shared cosmic heritage that might be staring us in the face.
Which leads to that final provocative thought.
Right. If these accounts hold even some truth, if beings are warning us, if they are sharing wisdom, maybe even offering paths to better health, longer life, a more peaceful existence.
Yeah.
What does it actually mean if we collectively choose to ignore it all? What's the real cost of staying plugged into the old narrative, the old fears, the old divisions? What might we be losing?
That's the question to sit with, isn't it? What's the cost of ignorance when the stakes might be this high? We hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep digging deeper into these profound possibilities. Voiceover sound effect. Multiverse 5D, your daily dose to hack the Matrix.
Multiverse 5D podcast. Explore, understand, renew, and break out of the Matrix. M5D UFO Files. Unraveling the UFO Files. Revelations that change everything. Have you ever found yourself haunted by those unsolved mysteries? A chilling story left hanging? A cold case that keeps you thinking days later? For over 2 years, the M5D podcast has been your companion on Spotify, uncovering the secrets that linger in the shadows. Now it's time to experience that same dark intrigue in a whole new way. The brand new M5D True Dark Files YouTube channel is officially live, built for fans who crave immersive, cinematic storytelling. Think Netflix suspense, but created by and for true mystery hunters. Every week, we deep dive into cold cases, legendary disappearances, and theories you won't hear anywhere else. Each episode comes with visuals, clues, and community polls to let you decide what story we unravel next. Curious? Your expertise as a listener is genuinely needed. Help us decode the unknown, build case files, and explore every chilling possibility. Just hit subscribe on YouTube today, become part of our investigation squad, share your theories in the comments, and get early access to episodes before anyone else. If unsolved crimes and real-life mysteries are your thing, this is your home. Join us and turn the unknown into discovery. The channel is active right now. Are you ready to solve the case? Visit M5D's YouTube channels, subscribe to M5D True Dark Files on YouTube, and let's solve the next mystery together. Which cold case would you like to see next? Leave your suggestions and join the hunt.